I can tell you that surrender is depends on what the subject, you know. When it comes to money, don't surrender. Depends on what's the but I'm on a joking there.
Yeah.
But more on a more serious note, really surrendering is you're really surrendering who you are not, or what's not yours, you know. So you're letting go of what's not yours. So, like, let's say pains and traumas and bad experiences. It's really like it's really created. It's kind of learned. Like everything else is just a phenomenon, a natural phenomenon. Pain only happens when a person has a resistance to something. With something, if, for example, if someone says, "You stupid idiot," and you get hurt, but it's not the word "stupid idiot" that makes you feel hurt. It is the idea that someone's rude to you that makes you feel hurt. Someone's judging you. You understand? But when you know, when you're striving to remember the God self in you, you know, the highest self in you, really surrendering is you are surrendering all these really resistance, these concepts. There's so many concepts. You're surrendering that. I'll share a few. I'll be here until midnight if I share, you know, a lot of them, you know. But one concept is the concept of freedom and spirituality, you know. Spirituality and freedom and individuality from the perspective of freedom and spirituality. For example, we think that if we can do whatever we like, you know, like a parent can say, "Look, I just want to let the child be," and they just do whatever they like. Like, let them be, right? Well, the child basically what's happening is that's kind of like really pushing towards the individuality, the freedom of the individual, you know. What's the kind of like natural, you know, in the aim for the person to be free. That concept of individuality and freedom, that concept will actually create a lot of pain in you. That concept itself. So on the topic of surrender, you want to surrender that. You know, like I shared the other day of my ex-girlfriend controlling me full on, right? So see, we say the word controlling in society, but reality is she was taking my individuality concept away. You understand? Because that concept of individual is like when someone tries to encroach that space, you feel like, just leave me alone, you know, that type of thing. Whereas when she helped me to surrender that, you know, like wash the dishes faster, you know. Why do you walk so slow? And all these things, you know. If you were in Taiwan, you couldn't survive like that. And all this, you know. So, of course, yeah, like, you know, the training is hard. It's like, there's nothing wrong with me washing the dishes like that. You know what I mean? But, you know, God puts in the situation where trains you to surrender. And if you don't surrender, if I don't surrender to her like that, there'll be another person in society, you know, situation that I have to surrender. So you have to go through, you know. Obviously I wasn't thinking like that. I'm only looking hindsight. So surrendering is you're letting go all concepts that you learn that creates resistance, you know. I'll give you another concept, you know, another concept that, you know. For example, when someone says, "What do you say?" You know, to you, what do you say? And you go, and then you repeat that, and the person's, "Sorry, I didn't hear that," and you say it again. Well, if the person says it 5 times, you're going to get very angry. That means there's a concept in you. There's a concept in you that if the person asks 5 times, or many times, that they're actually judging you, that they're kind of messing around with you. So you should get angry, you know, to tell them, don't, leave me alone, don't mess around with me, you know. Can you see that? Yeah. But when you let go of that concept, when you surrender that concept, people can ask you, what do you say? 1,000 times, and you just repeat 1,000 times. You know what I mean? There's no pain and there's no someone judging you anything. So really surrender is about that. And of course, there's many there's literally thousands and thousands of these concepts that we picked up, you know. We picked up in this lifetime, and also residual from previous lives in the form of energy. Because concepts, when you pick up concepts, they go into your being as energy, and it sits in our chakras. That's why when I go to people's chakras, I can actually feel the energy. When I clear that out, those concepts out, really, they feel bright and light, you know, like this. And that's exactly what I have done for you on this pilgrimage, you know. That's why you look brighter, more peaceful, sleep better, and, you know, and lighter and all that. But when you don't understand, you find it surrendering is very hard, because if someone tells you, you know, it's very hard. If someone like, you know, why don't you walk faster? Why do you walk so slow? You get lost. It's very hard to just like be humble and just like, you know, like, and surrender. I'll share a story, you know, about surrender. Then it kind of like, then you understand about enlightenment and surrender. You know, there was a king. There's a king. He was being trained. He's been trained by a master. So the king left his kingdom and moved in the master's house, lived with the master, and the master was training the king. That's the king's. He's basically, the king was the master's disciple, close disciple. And the king, the master, who was a householder, you know, one up for the householders. Decided it could be a monk or nun, you know. It's good, but No one's like, householders. Well, this story, the master is a householder. And he lives with his wife, and, a few children and that. So the king lives with the master, And after like many years training, the master's, training, correcting, using all different ways. The master's love, it melts the king's heart. Heart means it melts those concepts, those pain concepts, those concepts that leads to pain. The master will sometimes scream and just crush the ego of the king, and then the king, and then the master like that melts the concepts too. It's all different ways, So anyway, after like around 10 years or so, 10, 11 years training, the king's been training with the master, and then the king, he was it became so beautiful, He was so surrendering, he was so sweet. He will never have up and down, no rudeness, no kind of edginess, energy. It was just so surrendering and sweet and respectful, and nothing would disturb him. And then one day the king's wife, the master's wife said to the master, don't you think he's ready for you to kind of bless him so that he can attain, enlightenment, the God realization? Give him your blessing so he can attain the final, ultimate state. And then the master said, said, no, he's not ready. He's not ready. And the master's wife said, well, what do you mean he's not ready? Like, he's so sweet. He listens to everything you say. He does everything. He does it wholeheartedly. He's never rude, and he's so sweet. His energy is beautiful. What do you mean he's not ready? The master said, no, he's not ready. And then the master's wives kept on convincing him, and master said, look, let's do a test. Let's do a test. And the master suggested a test. He said, look, the next day in the morning, first thing in the morning, I'm going to call him in to my room, and I'm going to call him in. And when he comes in, I want you to hide behind the door. Hide behind the door with a broomstick. As soon as he comes in facing me, I want you from behind, hit him on the head as hard as possible with a broomstick. And then we will know if he's ready or not. We will know. And the master's wife said, yep, we'll do that. And he will pass. And you will bless him. He will pass. Master, okay, we'll find out. So next day in the morning, master calls him, so surrendering, the king, the Guruji, you call for me. Is there anything that I can do, that you'd like me to do for the day? Sweet. Sweet. And then, as he's speaking that, and the master signaling his wife, boom, the back of the head, and the king was so peaceful. He was so peaceful. He was calm, there's hardly any reaction, anything. You know, hardly any reaction. And he turned around, and he said, and he saw her, and he said to her, yeah, lucky that I've been, you know, with Master and you, and I've been trained so many years like this, because if I wasn't like this when I was the king, I would execute you. If I wasn't. and then the Master's wife, I got a chill went up her spine. You know this. and then the Master said to me, like, asked me, okay, like, there's some chores you can do, go do that, you know. So he went and did his thing, and then he went off, did his thing, and the master looked at his wife and said, I told you, he's not ready. He's not ready. And then many years later, like another 5 years training, and then one day out of the 5 years, you know, out of the blue, the Master said to his wife, he's ready. She said, he's exactly the same. He hasn't changed anything. He's exactly beautiful, sweet, you know. The Master said, you know the procedure. So I called him in. Master called him in, and the Master's wife, the king came in, and the Master's wife's hiding behind the door, got the broomstick. But I'm not sure this is part of the story, but it's potentially that the Master, to make sure he got a, because after 5 years, the broomstick might have broken him. They got a bigger broomstick. Like this. And then he came in, same thing. The Guruji, what would you like me to do today for my chore for today? So sweet, so sweet, so surrendering, so sweet. And then, the same thing. The Master signaled his wife. She came behind, boom, the back of the head. Like this. And he turned around to face her, and he went down full prostration to her, and said to her, thank you. I needed that. I needed that. And then the Master knew he was ready. He was ready. And the Master looked at him, transmit that love, that state that he knows, and boom, the king became a master. Like this. Became a master. So that story, sometimes stories like that, you don't have to speak much more about surrender, A story like that, you understand surrender. Like this, So really the spiritual path is really about surrender, and doesn't matter how many years you're on the spiritual path, if the surrendering doesn't happen, that simply means like your life, we have to ripen to a certain point of it's like renunciation. a renunciation to a point where we know that's what we want. We understand and we love that. Like the king. The king comes and lives with the master, is trained, like that, And of course, for example, when masters accept disciples living close proximity with them, just from that story alone, you can see that they can't just accept anyone, because if the master's wife gets a broom and hits the disciple, they're gonna take in an AVO, call the police. They call the police. You understand? Like I'm talking about, when the training is hard, to clear that, all that concepts and conditioning, when the training is hard, it won't reach that level. It won't reach that level of the broom. Like the disciple will realize, I'm not ready to let go. I'm not ready to surrender. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually nothing wrong with that. That's why surrendering is about a trueness. Is about a sincerity. When you're ready,